Good evening. This is Carla Nelson Chambers with the Conference Room Conversations coming to you live from Maryland in the United States on the East Coast. I am so excited. This is our second show to come to you to talk about events, information, things that will help women, specifically women of color, as we navigate the ups and downs of our business as women entrepreneurs, business owners, people in business, we often have to navigate some things that we can't talk about with everybody. And we have to have that sister girl connection to discuss, am I making the right moves? Am I thinking the right way? Am I doing things the right way? And am I okay? And I've had so many of these private conversations. I wanted the opportunity to be able to have it where we can have more women talk about it and bring in what I like to call subject matter experts, women who have been there, done that, not just have the mug and the t-shirt, but they made the mug, they made the t-shirt, probably made the shirt too. And so it is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you all someone that is, I call an advertising guru in throughout the United States, Miss Michelle Petties. I met Michelle probably the early 2000s or
Yeah,
late 90s.
yeah,
Can't
early
remember.
2000s. It's
We're
like
not that we're not that old, right?
maybe 2001, somewhere around in there.
Somewhere around there. During and we'll throw a little bone out to the Moby conference, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
that's where it was.
that, yes, that's right. Uh-huh.
And we have been fast friends ever since. When anytime I needed information, how to do things when it came to advertising, purchasing ads on the radio or television, how do I brand, how do I market? In my world, Michelle was always a phone call away, sometime a lunch appointment away, and she's one of those sister girls that I always say she's part of my red team. I can pick up the phone at any time and ask her, what do I do to be successful in this particular event that I'm doing or what have you? So Michelle has also been with me and some other people will meet throughout the weeks to come when I had projects that were bigger than me. And what I mean by that is you may get a contract and you can't do it all. And the better ones you aren't supposed to do all, but that's when you bring in your A team, sometimes your B team, and everybody gets to eat at that table. And Michelle has always been there. And when I got that advertising, I got that sponsorship, I got that. Michelle, come on, girl, because that's what it's all about. It's not about you, the individual, doing everything. It's about bringing in the people that help you look good, and literally everybody gets to eat. And so, with that, I just wanted to welcome Michelle to the show. We're going to talk about, and I said, everybody gets to eat at the table, not forgetting about what our conversation is going to be about tonight. Okay, pun intended, but not really, right?
That's all right.
Um,
That's all right.
and so, Michelle, I want you to talk about your area of expertise as it relates to advertising, marketing, and things like that, and then how it brought you to the journey, which is what I talked about in our show about leaving large. So with that, the floor is yours.
Ah, you know, Carla, thank you so much for that introduction. I mean, girl, it has been some sort of journey. It has been some sort of road. I am, first of all, I want to say I'm just delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be at the table, so to speak, tonight. Delighted, delighted to be a part of the conversation. And I'm happy. I'm happy that you have launched this.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy that you have launched this because it is so important. It is critical. And I say that, you kind of reached back and you talked about, me being in advertising and sales and marketing and all of that. And I will tell you, I want to share something with you, and I want to share with anybody that's listening how important these connections, how important
Yes.
sisterhood is,
Yes.
how important a team is, how important a bench is, how important it is that you can reach out and touch somebody that you can bring into wherever it is that you are for support.
Yes.
And I didn't get that understanding and that sort of clarity until later. to much later in my career. And I don't want to say until it was too late, because that's not really what I mean. I just wish I had understood it earlier.
Right. Right.
I wish and part of it had to do with the conference rooms that I was in, the work that I was doing, right? Because I was an independent rep. I was an independent salesperson. You know, we're on a team, we're working together, but your goals are still your
goals. Yes.
goals.
Yes.
You still have to make it on
them.
your own merit. So yeah, it's a team. You want to be a team player, but you know, if you don't pull it out, you don't pull it out. And that you're working with your team who's also trying to get the same plate that you're trying to get.
Right.
And you're working against other teams at other stations that are also trying to get the same thing. And so yeah, I conceptually understood this all boats rise thing. I conceptually understood the sharing thing. I understood that. But when it was something really close and something really important, you just didn't know who you could trust. Right? That's how I felt.
In marketing and advertising, because that's really a dog world.
Yes.
You know?
And so, but I thought it was a dog eat dog world.
Okay.
Right. I brought that into it because I heard it so much. You know, you gotta play your cards close to your vest. You know, don't tell everything. And so, you know, we do have to be judicious. We do have to be smart. We have to decide who we're going to let in. But it's a process to get that down, to understand who you can trust, to learn who you can trust. And sometimes you're going to make some right decisions and sometimes you're not, but you can't. But what I learned was you can't not reach out out of fear that something is going to go be shaky. Right. And the lesson that I learned and I want anybody to get it. If you said, you alluded to it earlier, right? But if you have a dream, and you can do it by yourself, the dream is too small.
It's too small.
The dream is too
short-lived.
Short-lived. The beauty of the dream, the blessing of the dream is the expansiveness of it. The blessing of the dream is that you bring other people into it. That's a blessing that we miss when we're trying to keep everything close, right?
Right.
And I went to a conference. Probably like the first women's conference I ever went to. It was maybe in 2010, right? And I was in a room full of all these beautiful, wonderful women that were looking to up level, right? And I never experienced that. Never experienced that. And I can tell you, being in this room, being in this conference with 3, 4, 5, I don't even know how many it was, right? Of women that looked like me, that were working like me, that were hustling like me, they were trying to make a difference, right? Trying to find the purpose, trying to find the passion, trying to do that work.
Right.
And it was a supportive space. It was a loving space. There was no that cloud of competition was not there. Right. And I experienced it for the first time, and it changed my life.
And I so appreciate that. I want to welcome Michelle Howard.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I have so many Michelles in my life.
Well, I heard so much great stuff about Michelle. I'm like, woo!
And that's because both of you all know I'm a talker. I have admitted it. I talk. Yes, I do. But my
not you.
My mouth makes money for me. Thank you very much. That's how God made me. But I like to support and I like to talk about people who are doing things. And I'm always chattering about somebody else. So that's why y'all have heard about each other, because I'm like, girl, you need to talk about it. So I am so grateful. And Michelle MP is really talking about stuff that MH we were talking about, that whole level of trust. And yes, sometimes you do, your feelings get hurt when you think the very person that this was way before ride or die was a thing, right? But the woman that you thought was your part of your posse and your team that was going to help you get there, or you were going to help them get there. And then all of a sudden there's these accusations, and it's like, where did this come from?
Right.
And I was the one that always would think, what did I do wrong?
Right.
And it took me a long time to realize, Carla, you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes it's what you did right. I learned that from my pastors. I learned that from my spiritual mothers. I've learned that from you, Michelle Petties, because of some things that early on in my career in business, and I was talking about advertising, what did I do? Honey, you did everything right. Well, why does it hurt? Because it just does. But you use that. I have used those, why does it hurt and why did it happen to me? So one, I won't do that to somebody else.
Right,
number one. And number two, when I see it coming along again, just
yes. Not
going down that road anymore.
Yes. I mean, that Carla is key. That, and it is all about it is about our languaging. It is about our languaging and our attitude about what comes into our space.
Yes.
And I have heard this before. I wish I had said it, but I didn't. And you get to sometimes you find yourself in this place. Why did this happen to me? Right? Why did this happen to me? And the question is, why did this happen for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same event, but it's how we view the event. And because we can't change anything that is coming to us. We can't change a single thing that's coming our way.
Mm-hmm.
But we have absolute control over how we manage it, how we respond to it, how we view it.
And how we learn from it.
Absolutely. Because sometimes I had a friend tell me, this was a guy, so I'm going to change the language for him. And he said, no man is my friend, no man is my enemy, but every man is my teacher. Now, I took from that what I wanted to take for it, because I need some friends, right? I'm not trying to have it, but what I got from it is that when anything happens, and I'm kind of in this like state of confusion, or just it's not happening quite like I thought it was going to happen, or I'm wondering, or I'm feeling some kind of way, I immediately step back and say, what's the data? What information am I supposed to pull from this? And when you kind of like step back and step back up from it and pull the emotion out of it and just start looking at every situation, there's something in here that I can use. There's some information that I can. What am I learning about this person?
Yeah. And what am I learning about myself?
They don't say about what they do. This is all preparation for some future event that you don't even know is coming. But what you garnered from here is going to help you down the line if you keep your eyes open.
That's 100% correct.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I was going to say that's 100% correct, because everything that you're speaking of, I have experienced it as well. Of course, Carla says she has, I've experienced it as well. And you didn't know it was coming, right? But as you said, if you take that and you say, what was I supposed to learn from this, besides the fact that I may have felt hurt by it?
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm experiencing a feeling. So if I set the feeling aside and ask myself, then what have I learned from it? I will make sure to take this lesson on the journey with me.
Yes.
So that way, like you was telling Carla, that way you can recognize it should it come again.
Because it is coming again.
Yes, it will. And you will be much better prepared, both in how you want your feelings to react to it and in your action toward it.
And especially sometimes it comes from the same person, and they didn't, and because you've learned, and when it comes back, that whole feeling that Michelle talks about, it's not there, and the person's like, well, they not responding the way I thought they were.
Right.
Sure not.
Right.
Different response. And this is part of a larger conversation I'm going to have next week. I'm going to peep into next week's show. It's called The Process, because everything, it's a process. And Sandra Cheney is going to, we're going to be talking about that, because Michelle, as you know, we were talking, both Michelles don't matter, but both of you all were in my space when, a lot of people who probably are, watching the show now or later, when I got laid off from the city, and all the things that I thought was going to be happening in my life at that point totally shattered, and I didn't know what to do and where to go. And I was like, why me? Why did this happen to me? And somebody done me wrong song. But it was terrible. But I just didn't know where to go. And Sandra walked to me. She just, I was on the phone, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And she said, it's a process. You're gonna get through this. And I couldn't see how I was gonna get through it. But it's when you have girlfriends like that they might not have the answer. And sometimes literally it's a word from the Lord that's dropping in you to spit out, to say, baby, hold on. Mm-hmm. Just hold on, because this can't be the end of the road. And she reminded me, Carla, you've done too many things. She started naming off all the stuff I had done. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Because I wasn't seeing that. I was seeing what I was dealing with right then and there, that I'm unemployed. I don't have a job. I don't know how I'm going to do this, And she was like, don't even, this is just the beginning. And that was 11 years ago. Look at God,
And you know what, Carla, what you just talked about with your experience with Sandra and having somebody like that is what I talk about. Shameless plug here. What I talk about in my book, I talk about having what I call angel warriors.
Oh, did I not say that the other night?
Did you read my book? Did you read my book?
No, but I need to read your book. I need to read your book. If me and Carla was talking about that the other night, and I said the angel warriors. Oh my warriors.
And wait a minute, Michelle, Petties. It was over food.
It was over food.
It was over food. We're gonna talk about that part in a minute.
That's funny. But here's what your angel warriors do. The angel warriors see for you what you can't see yourself. They see it for you, and they can take you there. I mean, it's sometimes, if you were in a different space, you could see it yourself, but you can't. That's why, you'll have somebody will say something to you, and you're like, I know this, right? You may know it, but you can't say it in that moment. That's why you have friends to say it for you, to remind you. To remind you.
Yes.
You need reminding. Stuff sometimes comes in front of our vision and clouds our vision. Those microaggressions you all were talking about last week. Those microaggressions show up,
right?
And they get in the way. And your angel warriors help you see it. They guide you from where you are to this place of pain, this place of hurt, this place of discouragement, this place of where you can't see anything but that.
You're stuck.
Right? Yep. So, you've been through remember that time? You've been through way worse than this.
And
have you forgotten who you are?
That part.
Have you forgotten who you are? Yeah, you've forgotten who you are. Let me remind you.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you that whole angel warriors is the truth. Okay, you know how people be like, "Oh, that's 100, that's on 1,000." No, that is the truth. Right. It is a factual truth, because angel warriors get you through so much and remind you from which you came.
Yeah,
they can remind you about the strength that you forgot that you had. Right. You're going through something, you forget how strong you are because you're in a moment of weakness.
Yes.
And those angel warriors come through like a circle of God, and they put that ring around you, and all of a sudden you feel rejuvenated. You feel like, I got this. You feel like I'm back on track. You feel like, yes, I am the queen, and now my crown is straight.
Right. They pour into you. And you know what, Michelle, as you're saying this, here's the only thing that has changed. The situation is still the same.
Yes.
The situation is still the same. The thing that has changed is what you believe about the situation.
Right.
And what what we believe, and that's what I write about in my book. That's
I got a book I wrote about. You want to hear it?
No, let me tell you, she needs to plug this book. She needs to show a picture. Here's a copy of your book. You need to show it so that our viewers know that this queen is in the house. This queen is talking about all of these wonderful things, okay, that we need to be aware of. We need to embrace as women.
Absolutely.
We need to make sure that we're there to support each other for. These are the things and uplifts that we need.
Yes.
And so, and with that, Michelle, let's kind of dive on into the book, because not everybody gets a foreword from Miss Kathy Hughes, As a matter of fact, we need to talk about Miss Kathy Hughes for a show later on, because Women's History Month is coming up and Black History Month is coming up. And one of the things we want to be able to do is talk to women who have made it.
Yes.
These are Kathy Hughes. A lot of people know about her, but there's some other women, dynamite African-American women, that are quiet multi-millionaires in areas that we often, nothing wrong with the retail and the products, but these women are in areas that are not necessarily, for women. And these women are rolling. I would love to be able to have them on our show to talk about, especially in their industries, what it took and what it takes to be successful and everything. So with that, let's talk about that journey and how that book ties your journey and ties into your profession, and then how the book came about.
Okay. All right. Sure. So the name of my book is Leaving Large: The Stories of a Food Addict. And the stories are about how I overcame emotional eating, experiential eating, how I got beyond yo-yo dieting, how I stopped eating for all the wrong reasons and started eating for nutrition, how I became conscious around that. So that's like the facts, right? Here's the truth. Not that those aren't true, but here's like the real thing. Is that 4 out of 5 African-American women are either overweight or obese. Obesity is a disease. And in your show, I wrote it, it was a show I was watching before. You said, these are your words: if our health isn't premium, our businesses will suffer. Right?
Yes.
And so we need just to get real clear. And I wasn't clear because, I was battling my weight. I was obese. I was over 200 pounds, up to 260, but I was still working and slaying it. Right?
Yep. Yes, you were.
Spite of that. But it was hard, but I didn't know it was hard. It was hard on myself, but I didn't know it. I didn't know it because I wasn't dealing with that. I was just like, I got to show up. I got to show up and I got to do this thing. Right? It didn't matter that I would go to my closet and nothing fit, nothing looked like I wanted to look, but I was still trying to cover it up and make it work, still trying to show up like a badass. Right?
That's right.
I felt like I had to do that. But here's the thing. We use food outside of what it's intended for any number of reasons. So I don't even really get into that. But the thing that I want to get into is that when we use food to suppress emotion, when we use it to cover up discomfort, when we use it for pleasure, when we use it to mask pain, right? And what happens is that we don't say, oh, I'm in pain, I think I'm going to eat. We don't say I'm in discomfort, I think I'm going to eat. We just feel this thing in our stomach and we think that it's hunger.
Yes.
We misidentified as hunger, and so we eat.
Yes.
We eat it, and we just feel this thing. So first of all, we have to learn to recognize what real hunger is. Right? We have to learn. And then we have to learn to embrace the pain of a situation that we're in. Be okay with discomfort.
Do we have to really? Come on.
Yes, we do. And here's why.
Yes. That's the problem right there. Because we don't want to.
Here's why we need to get okay with pain and discomfort. Because going through it, facing it, dealing with it is where we find our purpose. Our gifts, our gift to the world is in the pain. Our gift
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
world is in the thing that we overcome.
Woo!
But if we eat and mask it, we never feel it.
We
We
never
never face it. We never get to our gift because we're using food to cover it up because we don't want to feel it. And we miss it. We miss the joy. We miss the result. We miss our contribution. We miss what we're supposed to give the world. I sit here and I say it because I went through for 40 years what I went through so I could be having this conversation today. And
Girl.
one of the most painful things I ever experienced in my life had to do with my weight. Absolutely. But I have got to tell this story. I have got to have this platform, or else those 40 years is a waste of my time. I have wasted my life.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
And it is the same in every other thing. People want to know, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What is that? Go to where your pain is. Push away from the table. Go to where your pain is, and your gift isn't. Work through that.
Yes, ma'am.
The other side of that. That's the lesson.
Yes.
That's why you stay in pain, because you don't go through it and get the lesson.
Miles Monroe called it giving birth to a vision, and he would talk about I used to read all of his books because I had this burden, couldn't figure it out, and it was the vision. And I'm living the very things that everybody tells you that you're supposed to be negative are the things that God gifted you with. And because society, people, whatever, are always the ones that are trying to push it down. And like with some of the things you talk about, we push it down with food, we push it down with drugs or alcohol, we push it down in low self-esteem, all of those things. We push it down. Push it down with shopping. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, but I was shopping right in the debt. So we all don't. I want our audience to understand this conversation is about food, but don't miss the lesson, which is we all have something that we are dealing with because we don't want to, like you say, deal with that pain, which gets us to the very thing that we were put on earth to do, to be a blessing to the world. And once you do that, all those desires that you don't have them anymore.
Yes.
You know what? Right here, because of what you just said, Michelle, I want to read some of the comments that have come in because people are listening. People are listening to what you just said, Michelle. And I think it's important that our listeners know that, we putting it out there. Nobleman Brand says women have no problem supporting one another like that. And that's a beautiful thing. We men need to open up a little and be more vulnerable as we support one another instead of trying to be the big man on campus.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Michelle, that's why you had to say what you said about your journey, because it helps these things to come out. It helps people to be able to express that, hey, everybody goes through it, whether it's a man or a woman.
Absolutely.
Everybody goes through that.
Because here's the thing, Michelle, is that we get so many messages, right? We get so many messages around food, right? And this is my story, but it is not about food. It is about what we believe about certain things that drive us to certain actions. And I want to tell this story because it sets the tone. It's even how this book started, or one of the ways it started. Because I was struggling, right? I had lost the weight, I had gained the weight, I had surgery, and I had said to myself, if I can just have this surgery and just get to the size, I can stay here, right? I can stay here. I thought I could, but I couldn't because I hadn't done the mental work. So we have got to do the mental work. And what I realized that all these times that I had lost weight, because I could follow the plan, but I never made the connection that the purpose of food, the purpose of eating is nutrition and nourishment. Period. That's it. If hunger is not the problem, then food is not the answer. The only problem that food will solve is hunger. And I never made nutrition and nourishment.
Say that again.
Yeah. All right. I'll say it again. Yeah. I say it all the time.
I thought about it like that.
If hunger is not the problem, then food is not the answer. The only problem that food will solve is hunger.
Yes.
But we use it for entertainment. Girl, let's go out to eat. Right?
Mhm. Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I said in my lifetime, let's go somewhere fun to eat. Somewhere
Michelle,
fun to eat.
Michelle,
Yeah,
we just did that.
of course,
Guilty.
of course, of course. We treat it as an activity.
Yes, we do. Like, let's work and eat. Okay.
Working
We
lunch.
can let's grab a bite.
Mhm. It's an event.
Mhm.
It's something to do.
It is a comfort. It
Yes.
becomes a comfort, Michelle.
You know what, Michelle? It's not just a comfort. It is everything. We make food. We put it in my book. No, I wrote someplace. It is at the center of religion. It's at the center of economics. It is at the center of culture. It is at the center of gender. It is at the center of education. It is the one thing that is the thread that runs through everything, and it is food.
You're right.
We use it to express emotion. We use it to suppress emotion. Oh, let's celebrate. Let's get some cake.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We think we have to have it, but we don't. And I have got to tell you this story. I got to tell you this story. I wasn't going to tell you like that first story, but I got to tell you this story on the other side. What you get on the other side, and this is how food robs us of life. This is how we get robbed. Because people say my relationship with food. I want to tell you, it is not about a relationship with food. It is about our relationship with ourselves and other people. We manage food. We get into problems because we give food superpowers that it does not have. We give it the power to keep us from being bored, to keep us from being lonely, right? To keep us from being resentful. We give it that power, but it doesn't have it because we know the only problem that food will solve is hunger. When we pray, what do we say? Thank you, Lord, for this food, for the nourishment
of our bodies.
Yeah.
Isn't that the prayer? That's the prayer.
Yes.
But then I would pray that prayer and then eat 5 baskets of chips. Is that nourishing? That's crazy.
Look, hey, Michelle Howard, we can get our problem solved with Michelle Petties. We don't need no Noom. What you need Noom for?
That's what I do. That's what I do. But just let me tell you this quick story. So Thanksgiving, I went to Thanksgiving, and when Thanksgiving was, I went to a friend's house. Her brother cooked, and he cooked a bunch of food. There's a bunch, this Thanksgiving, there's a bunch of foods, a bunch of people, everybody having a good time. And I ate early. Because he made some jerk chicken. I love jerk chicken; it's one of my favorites. So I ate it, right? When the second round of food came around, and it did come, I wasn't hungry. Mm-hmm. I was clear that I wasn't hungry. And so I got up from the table. There was a little girl there. She was the only child at this event. She's 5 years old. Her name was Trinity. She was in the other room. She'd eaten too. So I got up from the table because I'd eaten. I wasn't hungry. And I went in and I sat in the den, and little Trinity and I had the best time. And if you have never had a 5-year-old say to you, maybe we can be friends.
Oh.
Yes. I still get goosebumps now. My heart just melted. And here's what came to me, y'all, is that 3 years ago, I would have missed that. I would have missed that because I would have been at the table getting the second round of food that I wasn't even hungry for. I would have missed that personal connection. I would have missed that conversation. And then I sat, and I write about this in my book, in the chapter, Words with Friends, of how much I have missed, how much we missed, how many personal connections we miss because we're more focused on the plate in front of us than the person sitting next to us.
How about that?
Because we're eating instead of talking, because we're eating instead of listening, because we're eating instead of feeling, because we're eating instead of connecting. Food can be a connector, but it can be a separator too. Mm-hmm. When
It's not
that
the end all be all. Yeah.
it is not the end all be all. Oh, y'all going to have Mexican? I don't think I'm gonna go. I don't like Mexican. What?
Why come you didn't invite me? Because you don't like Mexican. We was going to eat Mexican.
What y'all have? What y'all have? And I don't know. I might not come.
No, what they serving? How about that? What are they serving at the event? Because if they're not serving, I'm not going. And you might miss the very person you've been trying to connect with because you didn't want to go to that event because they wasn't serving food.
You will miss it. You will miss it. You will miss it because this is why I say it is not about a relationship with food. It is about a relationship with people. And if you go out to dinner, you're full. You've made some good choices, right? You feel all happy, right? Then the dessert tray comes. The dessert tray comes. Everybody at the table gets dessert, right? You're full. Dessert. Everybody at the table gets dessert. Now you're feeling some kind of way. You're feeling some kind of way, not because of your relationship with food. You're feeling some kind of way because of your relationship with yourself, because you're not prepared or don't want to deal with somebody. You're not gonna get dessert.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
What's
wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? What? Right? You don't want to answer that question. But here's the thing. Here's how obesity robs us of our opportunity and our authenticity. Because the reality is, the moment you say, "No, I'm not getting any dessert. I'm full. I don't." Somebody else at the table says, "What? I wish I had your willpower."
Wow.
Yes. No, that is true.
You have just raised the level of the table by standing in your own truth, and you're afraid of it. And it's sitting in this muscle that we exercise around our food and our eating. When we get power over something as simple as what we put in our mouth, our businesses will soar because it's the same muscle, it's the same skill. Yeah, this contract. Yeah, it's $25,000. Yeah, it's $250,000.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how much it is.
Right.
What's your price? That's my price.
Right.
Yeah, right. And I can back it up.
Right.
But we got another bid from blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Then maybe you might want to take that bid because they don't have the secret sauce that I
have. How about that, girl?
They don't have my juice.
That's correct.
So here, look at it. If they are for you, they are for you, right? They are for you. They are for you. But what I got, can't nobody do this like I can do it.
Let me tell you something. That's a good one. That's a good thought, Michelle. That's a good thought right there. Let me read this real quick. Carolyn Moselle, she says, "Our gift to the world is in our valley and what you learn on the other side."
That's right.
Woo! Yes, Carolyn, that is the truth. I was in the valley for 40 years. I know.
Hey, well, you know what though? Even while you were in that valley, you were still the boss lady. I mean, when it,
that's why you're my favorite. That's why you're my favorite. That's why I love you.
I don't say it to be flowery. I say it because it's the truth. We're always boss lady, and I've seen you work a room. I've seen you help me to work a room, with people that I knew from afar, and you're like, girl, go on there, say something to them. Really? Yes, go ahead. So in spite of your battle, your secret battle, and we're close enough to know where I knew some things were bothering you, but I'm not going to say anything to make it any worse. Yeah. You sometimes when your sister friend is battling because you can see it. So you don't talk about the negative, you talk about the positive. And I would always say something about your hair. Trust me, her hair was different. And I always loved the uniqueness of your various hairstyles. And that, I think probably I don't know if you did it, but that was your way of being known in spite of some things that you didn't like. I got my crown together,
right. Well, you know what, as you mentioned that, That's true, right? That, that's true. And here's the thing, is that all of the microaggressions, all the stuff that we battle, all the stuff that I battled, it did show up in my body.
Mm.
It showed up in the fact that I was obese. It showed up in the fact that I believed that food was a way to handle it. It wasn't a conscious thought that food could handle it. It was that's how it showed up. I was using food to try to handle it, but clearly it was not. And so now when I see people that are overweight or obese, because I was there, my heart breaks. I feel such compassion because here's what I know. I know that they are dealing with some stuff
Right.
that they don't know how to deal with.
Yeah.
They're dealing with some stuff that they don't have a handle on, even though they may think they have a handle on it. They may think they have a handle on it. Because what happens is you just get used to your body being a certain way. You get used to handling things in a certain way, whether they're the most effective or efficient way or not. You just get used to that. You just get used to living like that and feeling like that. You don't know, and I didn't know, Carla. Whatever you saw, what I didn't know was the peace that's on the other side, that the person that walked in the valley, the peace that's on the other side, the power that's on the side, the prosperity that's on the side, the pride that's on the other side, the confidence, the freedom, and the joy that is on the other side that I didn't even know I was missing. That's the thing. You get tricked. You get tricked in believing that the way
this is it,
that you got it. That's real. That's the real thing, but it's not. But if we're using food instead of stepping in, instead of leaning into emotion, leaning into and not just being bored, not just comfort. It's like eating out of jealousy. How about that? Eating out of jealousy. Go out to eat. Oh, what did you get? Oh, that looks good. I should have ordered that. Jealousy, right? Right? Oh, eating out of curiosity. What does that taste like? Let me taste that. Because eating out of curiosity, it shows up in
it
all
is
that we don't even identify.
Right.
So you mean to say I can't taste something off of somebody else's plate?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we need to be conscious about why we eat.
Why and why? Okay.
What I'm saying, it gets out of control, and I know it gets out of control because I was eating too much of the wrong things for the wrong reasons, and I was doing it unconsciously. And the battle that we lose and the battle that we fight is that we try to go directly to the plate. We always think, how much can I have of what? What can I have and how much of it can I have? Rather than why. Instead of raising our consciousness around why we're eating certain things.
Right.
Is it, and here's my questions. I'm going to do the power questions. I wasn't planning on doing the power questions, but I do them. Here are the power questions. If this food will not get me to the body that I say that I want, why am I eating it?
Right.
Power question number one. And this, if we just raise our consciousness, the purpose of the questions is just to break the pattern. You break the pattern, and then you can do something smart about it. Just break the pattern, but you need the questions to break the pattern. If this food will not get me to the body that I say that I want, why am I eating it? Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that applies in our businesses too. If this activity is not going to get me to the bottom line that I want, why am I doing it instead of letting my admin do it?
How about that?
Right?
Delegate it.
Same question.
Same question.
Right? Delegate, duplicate, outsource. There's a couple other things we need to do, right?
Yeah. They say work on the business, not work in the business. It's a difference.
But Michelle, the point that you make about the doing it unconsciously, like, because it becomes that habit. Right?
Exactly.
And it becomes a habit, it becomes a routine. So it's not in the forefront. You don't think about it being in front of you like that, because it's become a habit to you.
Yes.
Right? Yes. And so when you say bring it into that forefront, ask yourself that question and make it part of the conscious. That is really key.
Make it part of your consciousness. And
that is so key.
And make it part of your consciousness with everything. We have to evaluate everything we
Everything.
put in our mouth, every single thing. So that's the first question. If this food will not get me to the body that I say that I want, why am I eating it? The second question is, why this food now? Why this particular
I have
food
asked that
now?
question. Right.
Why
I
this
have
food
asked that question.
now? It'll stop you. It can stop you.
I'll just be transparent. It's with chocolate. Why am I wanting this chocolate now? Because chocolate is a depressant of my appetite. You're just no, you don't need to eat the chocolate. You need to get up and go eat something because you haven't eaten all day and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So if I eat a chocolate bar, it'll shut it up versus eating something that's better for me. And I have asked, why do I want this chocolate bar?
Why this? Yep. Why this? Why now? and then the next one is, so it's why this particular food now, right? If this will not get me to the body that I say that I want, why am I eating it? And then the third question, am I hungry or am I something else?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Right.
Who just walked in the room?
What email did I just get?
What email did I just get? What phone call did I just get?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You're sitting at your desk working away or at your home or whatnot. And I felt it, back when I was working in the office, you're constantly going, why are you constantly going to the vending machine? Did somebody just walk by your desk or your office and say something crazy? And all of a sudden it's the difference between being hungry and wanting to eat. There's a difference. And it is in our own best health. It is in our own best interest to figure that out. And those questions help drill down on that. Yes. Am I hungry? Am I hungry or am I something else? So here's a story. I told the Trinity story, which 5-year-old. Well, can you be my friend?
Are you her friend?
Yes. She made some pictures for me and everything, right?
That's sweet.
But so here's the story that started it all for me. I was
I'm sorry, just to let you know, we got about 10 minutes.
Okay, I can do the story. I can do the story in 3 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
So as I was writing this book, and my doctor has suggested that I write a book. She told me to write a cookbook, and I was struggling. I was struggling with the messaging. I was struggling with what I wanted to do. She said, you got to write the cookbook, but you have to include your stories. And so all this stuff was kind of bubbling up. And this is when COVID started. And the only difference between me and other people that went through COVID, that came out on the other side, that either gained weight or lost weight or stayed the same,
right,
is the story that they told themselves at the beginning of the pandemic. For the people that decided at the very beginning, this is an external circumstance that is not going to control me.
Right.
They did not. But for the people that said, oh my God, the world is ending, I might as well eat. Just let it get to them, right? Because they told themselves a story that allowed them to go there. The same thing when I went on a cruise. My brother said to me, "You're going on a cruise. Just I know you lost weight, but just be prepared because that's what you do on a cruise. People just eat and gain weight." That's what my brother told me. I had spent too much money. I was like, "Oh no. I went on a cruise and lost weight. Who goes on a cruise and loses weight? I didn't lose 5 or 10 pounds, but I came back less because I told myself at the beginning, I can go on a vacation, I can go on a cruise, have a fabulous time, have a wonderful time, and lose weight. I can do it because
I don't like all the food that's on the cruise anyway.
But it was a fundamental change in my belief system. So we have to fundamentally change how we view food.
There you go.
We have to flip it.
Right.
We have to flip it. Okay, so this story.
Okay.
We're talking about the fundamental change. So the story. This is the story that I know. The story had to come from God. It had to come from God because I hadn't thought about this story for 25 years. I'm at my uncle's farm. We're having a barbecue, a cookout, and we have watermelon. Black people and watermelon. Who knew? But that's what we had, right? So I say to Billy, "You want some of this watermelon?" And so my uncle says, "No, I don't eat watermelon." So let's be clear. He said, "I don't eat watermelon." He didn't say, "I don't like it." He didn't say, "I don't want it." He said, "I don't eat it."
Right.
What do you mean you don't eat watermelon? Does that mean you don't? I said, "Do you not like it? You don't want it right now? You want it later? What?" And he just said, "No, I just don't eat it." My uncle was 75-ish at that point. And I pestered him. You can't just say I don't eat watermelon. What's wrong with it? What? And he finally told me. My uncle he told me that when he was a boy, a little 5, 6, 7, somewhere around, he and some friends stole a watermelon from a neighbor's yard.
Mhm.
My grandfather, his father, found out about it. Two things about my grandfather. My grandfather was a church trustee, and my grandfather was a railroad worker. The one person that a 6-year-old kid that just stole something doesn't want to meet is a railroad worker who's also a church trustee. That's who he doesn't want to meet. So my grandfather proceeded to give my uncle a beating that was so severe. He beat him within an inch of his life.
Mm.
And he literally beat the taste out of my uncle's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there and I listened to the story and I said, "Well, Billy, do you think maybe the lesson was supposed to be thou shalt not steal?" My uncle looked at me and said, "I don't eat watermelon." Now, the importance of that story didn't hit me when he told it to me in the
Mm-hmm.
90s. But when I started on this journey looking for answers to understand why I didn't have peace around food, that story came up.
Hmm.
When that story came up, here's what I got, is that my uncle's feeling about watermelon, the pain he felt around watermelon was so severe. The experience was so traumatic that he never ate that food for 70 years until the day he died. He never had it again because the association
Yes.
was
Yes.
too painful for him.
Painful.
He associated watermelon with pain. To him, watermelon was pain. It wasn't about the food, it was about the feeling for the food that kept him from eating it. And when that story came over me, y'all, I was like, "Oh my God, this is it. This is what craving is all about. This is what yo-yo dieting is all about." Because we have these associations that we make to foods that we connect to pleasure. We think we want the food. We don't want the food. We want the feeling that the food reminds
gives us. Yeah.
We want the experience. We want the memory. We want the event. And that's what my book is. My book is a series of unpacking these stories that get us to these associations around certain foods and certain events. And when we get to the point where we can figure out why is it that what does macaroni and cheese mean to me? What does steak mean to me? What does eggnog? I'm talking. Yeah, what does eggnog mean to me? What does bread mean to me? What do biscuits? What do pancakes? What does all that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where did we go back to that? And when you can separate and understand that it is not the food. It is the feeling that we want. And when we can, and here's the proof. Since we know, and I've said tonight, and everybody's agreed, the only problem that food is solved with hunger is the purpose of food is nutrition and nourishment. You have a craving for something, eat something nourishing. Get full. Eat some green beans, a piece of chicken, and an apple. Get full, right?
Right.
Well, now you know you're not hungry because you've just eaten. You're not hungry. But if you still crave popcorn, you still crave something, crave a brownie, then you know that food represents an emotional space that needs some healing. It needs some touching. And that's when you go to somebody. That's when you go to your angel warriors. That's when you go to your people in your life. That's why it's a relationship with people and not a relationship with food. Because we can never, ever eat enough to heal that state, that emotional space. If we're looking for joy, and joy is abiding, and joy is always with you, because food leaves. That's why we're obese, because we're looking for food for joy, and we keep eating because we need to stay filled up to get that joy.
Right.
So yeah. That's what my book is about.
So give us the name of because we talked about it in the beginning. So for our viewers that are left, who came in late or what have you. What's the name of the book? And show it to the audience for us again.
Yes. All right. So here's the book.
Right there, right there. Leaving Large, The Stories of a Food Addict. You can find it on Amazon.com. It's $19.99 for the hardcover. What is it? $4.99 for the Kindle? Is that
Yes.
what yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I already know.
Yes, or you can order it directly from me on my
Yeah.
website, leavinglarge.com. I'll send you an autograph. I'll send you an
Copy.
autograph copy. That's $5 more, but there you go. But here's the thing. Our health is our wealth. If you don't get anything else, our health is our wealth. And obesity is a disease, and it is blocking us from everything that is rightfully ours.
Yes.
Not just wealth, not just prosperity, but joy. But joy. And this is something that we can get a handle on. This is something that we can get a handle on, and we can stop this legacy of eating that is killing us.
And this is a great way to start off the year. That's why I wanted to bring you on, where we can make these identifications. And in the beginning of the year, we don't have to wait for Lent to quote sacrifice and lose some weight. We can do it now. We can make those changes in our diet and in our lifestyle now. Yes, absolutely. I am so honored that you would come and share your words of wisdom.
And you saw you're in the back, right? You saw you read your acknowledgement, didn't you? Did
no.
You didn't see where I mentioned you in the back.
Girl, I bought the book. I didn't open it up and read it yet. Sorry, but
let me see if I can find you, because I talked about you are one of my angel warriors. You're one of my angel warriors that I talk about. Yes, ma'am. You didn't see that? Oh, wait a minute, where is it? Oh shoot. Well,
don't worry about it. It's okay.
Oh, I want to find it. Now that I said it. I have, y'all, from somebody that used to be distrustful and suspicious, really. I got 66 people that I call my angel warriors.
Angel warriors, and as I love Michelle Howard when she says, building your circle of trust.
Yes.
And absolutely. What I have learned is that I have a circle of trust for different things. And it's not that I can't trust women, my women in my circle, but they may not be able to have the answers for me depending on the situation, if that makes sense. I have a circle of trust of women that are in business, and they can give me business advice and keep it confidential. And some of them bleed over into the personal side, but it's okay to have, different circles of trust, and that you can call at a moment's notice, send a text. And I have one of my girlfriends, we call ourselves the girls. And sometimes it's just a matter of, I need you to pray. Okay. You might tell, and because we're girls, we know what that means. And then later on, we'll talk about what the reason was for it. But you need to have some women that are, that are warriors, and that can be there sometime when you can't stand there yourself. And that stuff is real. If it's a little spiritual for you people listening, that's fine, but it's real. Because there are times when we cannot stand on our own, and we need our sister girls to stand there be in the gap, literally be in the gap for us until we can get ourselves together. And then that time I turn around where you in the gap for them. So I thank you for my two sister warriors. There's Sandra. She just said, greetings, ladies. We got Sandra coming on next week. And I'm just very, very happy. Congratulations, Michelle Petties, I got to get my Michelle's right, on your book. Much success. I know it's going to do well. Michelle Howard, thank you for, I'm just going to give credit. I blame people for good stuff. It's because of Michelle Howard that I have this show. While Michelle Petties, Sandra, who's on the call, my girl Shelby, have been pushing me for years to have a podcast or a blog, or I don't have time. But I wrote it down. And when you write the vision down, it's going to come through. And all of a sudden, Michelle got a call from Donnie and said, I need some help. I'm in a bind. And she said, Carla, your face popped up. God wouldn't have, I don't know why. And I'm like, well, here's the reason why. And so here we are. And all part of that circle of trust, all part of people believing in you, because I shared things with Michelle. Michelle believed in me and she says, Carla, you can do this. You can. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And here we are. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, everyone who joined our call, whether you are joining us live or Memorex. And we will be with you all next Wednesday at 7:00 Eastern Time. Thank you for being a part of Conference Room Conversations. Have a great evening.